Part 1, The Awakening. Chief Petty Officer David Clark, or Chief Clark as everyone called him, had seen his fair share of missions. As a member of the United States Navy SEALs, he had been through the kind of hellish situations that would break most men. Yet, nothing could have prepared him. What was about to happen? The base in Poland had been a temporary stop, a brief respite in a long series of covert operations. It was a cold, clear night when Chief Clark hit the rack. Exhausted from a grueling day, he fell into a deep sleep almost immediately. His dreams were filled with the usual chaos, gunfire, the shouts of his team, and the ever-present adrenaline rush. Tonight, there was something different. A sharp, piercing sound jolted him awake. He tried to sit up, but his body felt heavy and unresponsive. Panic surged through him as he realized his arms and legs were strapped to a gurney. The sterile smell of antiseptic filled his nostrils, and he blinked against the harsh white light above him. "Where the hell am I?" he muttered, struggling against his restraints. Around him he saw others, men and women, some in military fatigues, others in civilian clothes, all similarly restrained and equally bewildered. Murmurs of confusion and fear filled the room. "Hey, can anyone hear me?" Clark shouted, his voice hoarse. "What's going on?" The responses were a mix of frantic questions and desperate pleas. The cacophony grew until a sudden, eerie silence fell over the room. Clark's heart pounded as he felt a strange presence in his mind, a voice that wasn't his own. "Calm down." The words echoed in his head, soothing yet utterly alien. Clark's eyes darted around, looking for the source, but saw nothing unusual, just more frightened faces. His pulse raced, and he strained against his bonds again. "You are safe. Do not be afraid." The voice was calm, almost hypnotic, but it did little to ease his fear. Clark's mind raced, trying to make sense of the situation. Then he saw them, small, frail figures with large heads and enormous black eyes. They moved silently, their gray skin almost shimmering under the artificial light. "Jesus," whispered, "what are you?" Beings approached, their movements slow and deliberate. Despite their diminutive stature, there was an air of authority about them, an undeniable presence that demanded attention. "We are the Greys. We have come to Earth for centuries, seeking those who can help us fight our wars." Clark's mind reeled. Wars? The idea was absurd. Yet here he was, restrained and at the mercy of these otherworldly beings. He took a deep breath, trying to steady his nerves. "Why us?" he asked aloud, though he suspected the answer would come mentally. "Our bodies are frail compared to humans. Our planet's gravity is weaker than Earth. We live on the dark side of our world, so our eyes adapted to eternal night. The sunlight harms us as our skin cannot withstand much solar radiation. We need stronger, more resilient soldiers. Humans like you." The voice was patient, as if explaining to a child. Clark closed his eyes, trying to process the information. The Greys' large eyes, he realized, were a result of their nocturnal existence. Their skin, so sensitive to light, explained their preference for darkness. "You have been chosen for your strength, your resilience. You will help us survive." "Chosen?" Clark spat the word out. "Abducted, more like." There was a pause, and for a moment Clark felt a strange sense of sympathy from the being. "It is necessary, for both our survival and yours." Clark opened his eyes, meeting the unblinking gaze of the Grey closest to him. He saw not malice, but a deep, desperate need. The realization didn't make his situation any less terrifying, but it did stir something within him, a sliver of understanding. "What do you want us to do?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. "Fight," the voice in his head replied simply. "Fight for us, and we will protect your world from dangers you cannot imagine." As the full weight of his predicament sank in, Clark knew one thing for certain. His life, and the lives of those around him, would never be the same. Clark's breathing slowed as the restraints on his arms and legs released with a soft click. He rubbed his wrists, feeling the cool air against his skin. Greys stepped back, giving him room to sit up. "Follow us," one of them said, its voice a blend of mental communication and soft-spoken words. Clark hesitated, then swung his legs over the side of the gurney and stood, feeling a bit unsteady. The Greys led him through a narrow, dimly lit corridor. As he walked, he looked out a small window, and his heart skipped a beat. The vastness of space stretched out before him. Stars scattered like diamonds against the black void. He was on a spaceship far from Earth. The realization was both awe-inspiring and terrifying. Where are you taking me? Clark asked, his voice echoing slightly in the confined space. To meet our leader, Kultu, the Gray responded, glancing back at him with those enormous black eyes. They reached a door that slid open with a quiet hiss. Inside was a small room with a single chair in the center. Gray's motioned for him to sit, then left him alone, the door closing silently behind them. Clark sat, his mind racing with questions and fear. A few minutes later, the door opened again, and a Gray, slightly taller and with a more commanding presence, entered the room. Its skin was a deeper shade of gray, almost silver, and its eyes seemed to hold a depth of knowledge and experience. Chief Clark, the leader began, its voice resonating in Clark's mind. I am Kultu, what you would refer to as a general for our people. We have brought you here because you possess qualities we desperately need. Clark's fists clenched. You've abducted me. Again, I might add. What the hell do you want from me? Kultu inclined its head slightly. We have altered humanity over centuries, enhancing your physical strength and intelligence. But in doing so, we introduced a gene to increase your aggression, making you more effective warriors. This, unfortunately, has led to much conflict and war among your kind. Clark's eyes narrowed. You made us more violent on purpose? Yes, Kultu admitted. It was a necessary sacrifice. You see, our world is under constant threat from a race known as the Dralloks. They are a brutal and relentless species, driven by conquest. Their technology rivals ours, but their numbers are greater, and they seek to dominate our home. Clark absorbed this information, his anger simmering. So you created humans to fight your battles for you? Kultu nodded. In a sense, yes. We have perfected the human genome to create the ideal soldier. Over 1 million of your kind are already engaged in combat on our behalf, but we rarely perform abductions anymore. We have enough genetic material to grow our own soldiers in incubators. Then why take me? Clark demanded. Kultu's gaze intensified. You are a proven leader, Chief Clark. Your skills, your experience, and your ability to inspire others make you invaluable. Our war with the Dralloks is at a critical juncture, and we need someone like you to turn the tide in our favor. Clark leaned back in the chair, trying to process everything. You expect me to lead your soldiers against these Dralloks? To fight a war that's not even ours? We do, the leader confirmed. But know this, in helping us, you are also protecting your own world. The Dralloks are expansionists. If they defeat us, they will eventually turn their sights on Earth. A heavy silence filled the room. Clark's mind raced with the implications. He was being asked to fight for an alien race, to lead an army of humans bred for war. Yet, the threat to Earth was real, and he couldn't ignore that. What choice do I have? Clark asked, his voice resigned. Kultu stepped closer, his eyes meeting Clark's with an intensity that sent a shiver down his spine. You always have a choice, Chief Clark. But know that your decision here could save not just one world, 2. Clark took a deep breath, the weight of his decision pressing down on him. He had always been a soldier, trained to protect and serve. Now, his duty extended beyond anything he had ever imagined. All right, he said finally. I'll do it. I'll lead your soldiers. Kultu's expression remained unchanged. Clark sensed a profound relief emanating from him. Thank you, Chief Clark. Your courage and leadership will be remembered for generations to come. As Kultu turned to leave, Clark steeled himself for the battles ahead. He was no longer just a Navy SEAL. He was a commander in an interstellar war, fighting for the survival of 2 worlds. Come with me, Clark. You'll want to see this. Chief Clark followed Kultu down the corridor. A silence between them filled with the weight of unspoken question. The hallways were a labyrinth of sleek metallic surfaces, softly illuminated by a light source that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. As they reached a large double door, it slid open to reveal a spacious meeting room. Clark's eyes widened at the sight. Around 20 men, all dressed in identical black bodysuits, turned to look at him as he entered. The striking similarities among them were uncanny. Each had similar facial features, body types, heights, and weights. They could all be brothers, thought, or even clone. At the front of the room, another human stood next to a Gray, both deeply engrossed in what appeared to be a holographic display of battle plan. The human was speaking in low tones, gesturing at the hologram, while the Gray made precise adjustment. Sit down and pay attention, the voice in Clark's head instructed. He recognized it as Kaltu's and resisted the urge to respond with a snarky remark. Instead, he moved to an empty seat near the back and settled in, his eyes fixed on the front of the room. These strategic points are where we need to concentrate our forces, the human at the front was saying. The Dralloks have fortified their positions here and here. He pointed to glowing red markers on the hologram, but we've identified weaknesses in their defenses that we can exploit. Clark watched, impressed despite himself. The human speaker, who appeared to be in his early 30s, exuded confidence and authority. He glanced at the gray beside him, who nodded in agreement. "This is where you come in, Chief Clark." Kaltu's voice echoed in his mind again. "Pay attention." The human turned, acknowledging Clark's presence with a nod. "Chief Clark, I'm Commander Jarek. Welcome to the team. We've been briefed on your background and we're glad to have you with us." Clark nodded back, still trying to wrap his mind around everything. "Thanks. I'm still trying to understand what exactly you need from me." Jarek smiled, though it didn't quite reach his eyes. "Understandable. We're in the middle of planning a critical offensive against the Dralloks. Your experience and leadership are exactly what we need to turn this war in our favor." Kaltu stepped forward, his large eyes reflecting the holographic light. The Dralloks are a formidable enemy. They are physically stronger and more numerous than our people, but they lack the tactical ingenuity and adaptability of humans. This is why we need you, Chief Clark. Your ability to lead, to inspire, and to strategize in ways the Dralloks cannot anticipate. Clark glanced around the room at the other humans. They were all listening intently, their faces serious. It was clear they understood the gravity of the situation. "What are our next steps?" Clark asked, his military training kicking in. "How do we proceed?" Jarek pointed to a section of the hologram marked in blue. "This is our target area. The Dralloks have a command center here that's critical to their operations. If we can take it out, we'll cripple their ability to coordinate their forces." Clark leaned forward, studying the holographic display. The layout was complex, but he could see potential entry points and weaknesses in the Dralloks defenses. "We'll need a multi-pronged attack. Diversionary tactics to draw their attention while our main force hits them where it hurts." Jarek nodded, clearly pleased with Clark's assessment. "Exactly what we were thinking. We have the resources and manpower to execute this plan, but it will require precise coordination and timing." Kaltu interjected. "We have faith in your abilities, Chief Clark. Your leadership will be crucial in the coming days." Clark took a deep breath, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. He looked around the room again, meeting the eyes of the other humans. Despite their uniform appearance, he could see determination and resolve in their faces. "All right," he said, his voice steady. "Let's get to work. We have a war to win." As they delved into the details of the battle plan, Clark couldn't shake the surreal feeling that had settled over him. He was on an alien spaceship, surrounded by genetically engineered soldiers, preparing to lead an interstellar war. Yet, as bizarre as it all was, part of him felt more alive than ever. This was his new mission. He would see it through to the end. As the briefing concluded, Chief Clark was assigned his mission, to lead a squad of 12 soldiers in an assault on the Dralloks Command and Control Center. This critical mission required precise execution, and Clark's expertise was essential. The command center was located on Nero, a tidally locked planet in a region touched by sunlight. The Dralloks had strategically placed it there, knowing the Greys couldn't withstand the sun's radiation. Clark turned to face his squad, the elite soldiers bred for war in incubators on Nero. Each was engineered for strength, resilience, and specialized combat skills. "All right, listen up," Clark began, his voice firm and commanding. "We've got a tough mission ahead. Our target is the Dralloks Command Center. It's in a region that gets sunlight, so the Greys can't go there. That's where we come in." He scanned the faces of his squad, seeing determination and readiness in their eyes. It was time to get to know the soldiers he'd be leading into battle. "Let's do a quick round of introductions," Clark said. "I want to know who I'm fighting with, and your specialties." First soldier, tall and muscular, stepped forward. "I am Unit 573, specialized in heavy weapons. I've been trained to handle the heaviest firepower available to us." Clark nodded. "Good to have you, 573. What kind of weapons are we talking about? 573 pulled out a rifle that gleamed under the lights. Our rifles use a chemical reaction between two elements that combine to combust, shooting what appears to be plasma from the barrels. High impact, high damage. Clark examined the weapon with interest. Impressive. Next. A lean, agile soldier with sharp eyes spoke next. Unit 612, demolition expert. My expertise is in planting and diffusing explosives. Clark looked at the equipment 612 carried. What kind of explosives are we dealing with? 612 grinned. Various types, sir, from standard charges to advanced chemical explosives designed to penetrate Drallok armor. A woman with a focused expression stepped forward. Unit 445, reconnaissance and stealth. I'm equipped with the latest in cloaking technology and sensory equipment. Clark acknowledged her. Good to have eyes and ears on the ground. Next, the introductions continued. Unit 759, a medic trained in advanced battlefield medicine. Unit 837, a tech specialist proficient in hacking and electronic warfare. Unit 918, a sniper with unparalleled marksmanship. Clark took note of each soldier's specialties, understanding the unique strengths they brought to the team. He then addressed the weapons and equipment they would use. Let's go over your gear, Clark said. Those plasma rifles are impressive, but what else do you have? Unit 573 demonstrated a sleek baton. This might look simple, but when activated, it radiates out like a sword, cutting through almost anything. Clark watched as the baton extended into a glowing blade, humming with energy. He thought to himself, this thing looks like a Japanese katana. Clark spoke aloud. Effective for close combat. What about your suits? Unit 612 stepped forward. Our bodysuits are designed to capture sweat and other bodily fluids, recycling them for cooling and hydration. They keep us functional in extreme conditions. Clark examined the suits more closely. They were sleek and form-fitting with a layered design. And the body armor? Unit 445 tapped her chest. Over the suits, we wear armor that protects against kinetic weapons and offers some resistance to energy weapons. It's lightweight but incredibly durable. Clark was impressed by the advanced technology at their disposal. All right, we've got the tools and the talent. Now let's put it all to good use. With the introductions and equipment review complete, Clark outlined the specifics of their mission. They would infiltrate the Drallok command center under the cover of night, using the darkness to their advantage. Their objectives were to disable the center's communications, eliminate key Drallok officers, and secure the facility for further Grey operations. As they geared up and prepared for departure, the atmosphere was tense, focused. Clark felt a mixture of anticipation and determination. This was their chance to strike a decisive blow against the Drallok and protect both Nero and Earth. The squad and Clark made their way to the hangar, where a smaller spaceship awaited them. Designed for quick and covert missions, it was sleek and compact. The Greys wouldn't be joining them on this mission. The sunlight would make them liabilities. As the hatch closed and the ship hummed to life, Clark looked around at his squad, each member a vital part of the team. This mission was their chance to change the course of the war. Failure was not an option. Taking a deep breath, Clark focused on the task ahead. They were about to embark on a mission that could alter the fate of two worlds. With his squad ready and the stakes higher than ever, Clark knew they had to succeed. The battle for Nero and Earth was about to begin. If you like this story, please like and subscribe. Your support goes a long way into the creation of new stories. Thank you.